All right, I'll call this meeting to order, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, then we'll move on to the minutes of the regular board meeting March 26th. Everyone's had a chance to take a look at them. Any corrections need to be made? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the regular board meeting March 26th, 2018. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. And then we'll move on to the approval of the general fund vouchers, 75574 through 75595. Wire transfers 171800437 through 17180. And activity fund vouchers 9158 through 9211.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve the general fund vouchers as read. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. And then we'll move on to our public comments section. I didn't see anybody on the list. Does anybody have anything for us? Okay, seeing not, then we'll move on to the spotlight on education. Our boys basketball team.
Yeah, we have two neat things on the spotlight on Ed. So the first thing we have is the boys basketball team. So we asked the boys team and the coaches to come in. Coach Sargent, Coach Blanchard, and Coach Trepanier. And then all the boys had just a fantastic season. Really fun to be a part of as an administrator and a fan. To go into the gyms, they went undefeated. And to just go, every gym was electric from the regular season all through the postseason. But for me in my role, more importantly, the coaches and the boys really played with a lot of class. Every game was a lot of fun to watch, but it was also nice. We received a couple of emails as far as their behavior after the game and how they responded, and it didn't change even down at the state tournament after the loss down there. So really a fun thing to be a part of, and I'll turn it over to Coach Sargent to give some of the details on the season.
Yeah, no, thanks for having us. We're really excited to be here. It's a very cool thing. We kind of had a chance to let everything sink in when it was so crazy and hectic. But I'd like to thank the administrative team, Mr. Peterson, Mr. Gillis, Mr. Ernst, for being so supportive throughout this whole stretch. It was kind of surreal, and it's just amazing to be part of. I know Mr. Rosine's not here, but he did so many things that people don't realize. A lot of stress and a lot of things that he had to go through. So give him a lot of credit and thank him as well. Just talk a little bit about the team. We were expecting or hoping to have a solid season this year. We set some goals. We obviously wanted to get back to the regional championship and have a chance to go to sectionals. They were back-to-back conference champions, back-to-back regional champions, and then the sectional championship, which was one of our ultimate goals to get a team down the state, and so proud of them for being able to get that back. 46 years is too long for that to happen. So hopefully we won't be that long again. But as Mr. Ernst said, we entered the tournament 25-0, ranked 4th in the state. And another cool thing about that is we were the last team in the entire state, all divisions, to be undefeated. So that was a real cool thing to be part of for these guys. As you kind of mentioned, the fan support throughout the season and the playoffs was just amazing. Just so exciting to see the gyms fill up, to see faces you haven't seen. It was nice to see board members there and just other community members that supporting the sport was just phenomenal. So it's nice to get that many people behind you and have a chance to see what people can do when they come together. There's great things. If you were at the games down the stretch, the regional final at Clear Lake, the sectional semifinal at Amory, and then the sectional final at Richmond, it's just you can't even describe it. I mean, the gyms were so intense and just exciting, and to see that and be part of that was unbelievable. I did hear from a couple of people from Richmond that was one of the biggest crowds they've ever had at that sectional final. So they never worried about selling out, but she was pretty close, I think, to being to the max point. The crowds, we came in the bus and came into town, and there's people already lined up around the building. It was just unbelievable. Also during that stretch, we sold almost 1,200 t-shirts. which was pretty cool, pretty exciting. And we pre-sold almost 600 tickets to go down to state for our game. So pretty neat for a small community to get that kind of those kind of numbers. Kind of along with the team success, I know our guys would be proud and want me to mention, Bailey Blanchard became only the 8th player in Clear Lake history to reach the 1,000-point milestone this year as a junior. So that's incredible. And David Adhorst made us #1 in Division 4 as a 3-point shooter with the best overall percentage at 52%. So just some amazing individual things to go along with our team's success. Kind of looking back, this is the 17th year as being a coach for the Warriors, and with a record of 25-1, that's obviously our best record, and I don't know, but probably one of the best records probably in Clear Lake history for our basketball program. So certainly proud to be a part of that and to be on this journey with these guys. I think one of the most impactful moments that we had, though, wasn't winning the games necessarily. When we were on our send-off after the pep rally here, we went down to the elementary school, and to come into that environment, I looked at these guys and their eyes were it was just amazing that they didn't realize how they've impacted young kids and other kids in our school, but certainly at the elementary school. And those kids were so excited and so energetic. I feel bad for Mrs. Niles having to teach after that, because I don't know how that would have happened. But they were super excited. Our guys were signing shirts, and we gave away a few items as we came through the hallways. So it was just a really cool moment, I know, for me and coaches and for these guys. So I just want to tell these guys how proud I am of them. And like Mr. Ernst said, when we lost the game, as difficult as that was, these guys, we said, hey, let's not focus on the loss. Let's think about all the things that we did throughout the course of the season. Come together, reminisce a little bit, and enjoy the rest of the weekend. And we were fortunate to keep everybody down there, and they had a great weekend, just a great experience. I'm certainly sure they're not going to forget all the moments and the things that we got to achieve and to go together. So super proud of them. I love these guys, and thanks so much for having us. It was a real cool moment for us all. So, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, good job, guys.
I'd like to just add one thing. When you get a team qualify or an individual down to the state tournament, you just kind of think that you just get to go down there and enjoy the tournament. And there's so much behind the scenes stuff that Mr. Sargent and the coaches had to do to prep, because there wasn't a whole lot of past practice that you could go off of. It was a lot of scrambling, and I think there might have even been some basketball incorporated into the math class that last 2 days. And there's just so many, just the shirts alone, getting all the orders and getting everything organized. So a huge thank you to Mr. Sargent and the coaches, everybody that was involved to make it all happen for not only the school to enjoy, but really it was a huge community involvement and a piece for everyone to be involved. And had some in-laws from Madison that went down to watch, and just how everyone is so shocked at how much white and blue are at these games. And the Amory game, it looked like we were headed to the Kohl Center, and there were lines wrapped all the way around the gym. And then the Richmond was a packed house. There really was standing room only. And then down at State as well, which is darn near a 5-hour trek, and you have 4 full sections of white and blue supporting the crew. So it was neat to see that it wasn't just a school event, but it was a community event as well. And so congratulations to the coaches, and congratulations all the hard work to you players. Like Mr. Sargent said in one of the assemblies, that it doesn't happen during the winter season. There's a lot of time and energy and practices that lead up to this, and parent involvement and community involvement. So, but also all of your involvement. So congratulations to you guys. Something that you'll get to remember for the rest of your lives.
Yep.
So we appreciate you guys coming in.
Yep, and if you guys want to stay for the rest of the meeting, you're certainly welcome to.
I guess you stay.
Sounds good. So thanks.
Thank you.
All right, and then the second thing we have on the spotlight on education is something that's just as neat and a huge accomplishment as well. We have a Herb Cole Award winner, Sean Singh, in the crowd. I'm going to pass this one over to Mr. Gillis to kind of introduce this.
Sure. I'm pleased to announce that Sean Singh won the $10,000 Herb Cole Initiative Scholarship this year. Herb Cole has given to date $14.5 million to education, and the initiative scholarship recipients have demonstrated exceptional initiative in the classroom and showed strong promise of succeeding at school and beyond. And they've not yet received other academic-based scholarships. So Sean's the $10,000 winner this year.
Huge.
Now you got
Thanks for coming in, guys.
Yeah, have a good night. All right, so then we'll move on then to new business. Approval of staff resignation.
I emailed you guys, just give you the heads up. Resignation is in here. Mr. Hanson, who's head of our custodian crew, has submitted his letter of resignation. It's been posted, and we're going to be in the process of going through the selection process and then the interview process.
Do you have dates on the selection in the...
It closes on, I believe, this Friday. So then that following week we'd be identifying a committee, selecting candidates to interview, identifying the individuals on the committee, and then going over the questions to set that. So we'd probably most likely be interviewing sometime that following week, the week of the 23rd, I believe.
Looking for a job?
Nope, just curious. Yeah, one that pays.
Yeah, right. That's what I was thinking.
So we'll be close to his leave date, but he said he'd stick around to help.
Yeah, that's all kind of up in the air. We, not to share too much, but Gary's, he's got a tremendous skill set, and he's been, every year since I've been here, has had some conversations kind of revolving around this topic, and this year the right position kind of came up, and ideally we'd like to have something in place where there's a transition plan, like we're able to hire someone and then have a transition plan where he can work with that individual. Doesn't always work out kind of on multiple sides as far as the new place of employment and then whoever we select, but if the stars align, that's kind of our hope. I'd like to thank Gary for all of his time in the district and everything that he's offered the Clear Lake School District. So personally, I've appreciated working with him.
Yeah. All right, then I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve the resignation.
I'll second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve the staff resignation. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. And then we'll move on to the discussion of school board cancellation procedures.
I wasn't sure how to put this one on there, but I just figured I'd throw it out there and just kind of open it up for discussion. We've received a lot of, I shouldn't say a lot, but numerous concerns from stakeholders, from parents about just the discrepancy in townships and the road conditions. And I know in my position it's been extremely difficult, and according to Mr. Petty, he feels like this is probably one of the most difficult years that he's been a part of, just with the road conditions. And for example, the last late start, woke up and I'd say about 75% of the townships looked great, and then we had a section that weren't even touched. So it was just, it's tough when you have 4 counties and then you have the 8 municipalities, and some of those municipalities are plowed by counties, and then parts of them are kind of all farmed out to locals, and so you have just a lot of variables at play when you're making those discussions or making those decisions. So just wondering, if that's something we want to draft some type of letter to the municipalities, just expressing the concerns that we're fielding. I do think we've been lucky where they haven't seen it as the school district, but have had a lot of numerous complaints and concerns, I guess I should say, about like I said, just the discrepancy in the township. So wanted to bring that up because it has been, from both buildings, people expressing those concerns. So thoughts on that?
This has been in my family for years, so just to kind of give you a perspective of what it takes to do townships when we're thinking about this. If you have one driver, which most municipalities have one, it takes 12 to 14 hours to do their whole area. If you have two, it takes 6 to 7 hours to complete all their roads. When spring hits and the dirt roads are soft, they try not to go on them because it just destroys them.
Mm-hmm.
So the last snow would have been in that dirt road thing. That would have been hard. Bands Creek, if that is one of the townships, doesn't have an employee at this point, so I'm not sure where you got it from. Forest roads are done by the county, so that means the county plows their roads first, and only then do they do the township roads after the county roads are done, just as how Forest is set up right now. So that kind of puts at least 2 counties or 2 townships really back and take a long time to clear. And like Clear Lake Township potentially has 2 drivers, but one's been on vacation and been out for shoulder, so they're down to 1 driver. So now you're up to 12 to 14 hours to get the whole thing done, which is basically all of the Clear Lake School District that is in the Clear Lake Township. So it's just hard when you think about cancellations, and when you can't start driving until 5, obviously you're only going to have maybe a third of the roads done by the time the buses have to go out.
So they're upset that they're having school then, is their concerns or not?
And nobody's really been upset about whether or not school's been canceled or early release or a late cert, but just more kind of asking us if we know anything regarding, what's going on with roads and.
Like you said, they're doing the best they can. So.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's bad to put a thing out, but I think it's good for you guys too to know some of these timelines and what's going on. And especially with the 2 townships that are, Bands Creek not having anybody on hire right now, they just are finding a truck driver to maybe that will come and help.
Mm-hmm.
Or you don't want to irritate them and have them do Clear Lake School District last either,
Right, so I don't know where your townships are. I just think I know it's really hard to make a call by 5 o'clock when people are going out at 4 to start the roads.
Right.
And if it takes them 6 or 7, I mean, there's no way that they're going to be cleared by 8 or even by 10, really.
Yeah. So, and I just wanted to bring it up, and this is exactly what I was, kind of looking for, just that discussion, and, do we reach out to the townships and ask for, kind of being the liaison, do we ask for, what they would like us to communicate to our parents? Do we...
Well, and the thing is, everybody that lives in these townships are aware of, what's going on as far as, Forest not having their own.
You would think Forest would know. Bands Creek would be on the edge of not knowing what's going on.
Although my guess would be if my stretch is clear and then school gets called, you're going, why is school get called, kind of thing. So it might be worth it just to kind of gather some of this information, and maybe it's prepped for next fall into next winter to say, our decisions are made based on all these factors, and so
What's
we have
your
to take,
procedure?
and just kind of give parents and community kind of the heads up on, that safety is the first concern, and we can't always make the decisions as quickly as we'd like to. There's all these other factors.
The question is then, do we take this conversation and pass it along to the individual townships to let them know that we're having this discussion? They can figure out if they're amongst the ones that are causing school to be called and maybe make their decision making a little bit differently, or
because really most of them have done a really nice job communicating with us and getting especially in town, where our buses are, and it's just some of those, there's some side roads that really put us in a
Ours is always
situation.
last, so I'm seriously 8 hours past when the snowstorm is done until our road gets done, because we're just at the end of their route, so it's never clear for 8 hours after a storm.
I'm on a county road and it's clear at 5 in the morning every.
Right.
Yeah.
So the county roads will be cleared fast. It's the back streets that just aren't going to. And then that's where you get the dirt roads this time of year that you just, if it's more than 4 or 5 inches, they just don't plow them.
Right.
Cause
Make more of a mess.
Okay.
well, and would it be, maybe if they knew what our actual routes were, they could maybe hit those roads first? I don't know if that would create too much inefficiency or not, but
But it's not, they got another school district too though, right? It's not like they're just taking care of us.
Right, multiple, a couple of them are in multiple
Right.
school districts. So, and so maybe it's as simple as something, drafting something on behalf of the school, letting the townships know kind of what's going out, just so everybody's aware of how that decision is being made, I guess.
It's a bummer. I mean, I get it on both sides.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
now if we were in Wyoming, we would just call school for 3 days at a crack, but
Buy everyone's snowmobiles.
we're not that easy going around here.
Okay.
Okay. Well, then we'll move on to the approval of resurfacing the junior and senior high school gymnasium floors.
Okay, so if you can, I didn't have it in your packet, but or in the email, but it's in your packet. There's a colored copy. And there's two quotes in there, and then a colored copy of kind of the plan. This is kind of a rough draft. We're doing something a little bit unique with the high school gym. It needs to be fully resurfaced and then new lines painted. And you can kind of tell in this picture, but the main court will have a different stain color than the 3-point. The 3-point area will be a little bit darker stain. So that's, both quotes are within the $20,000 range. Right now, if you guys remember, you guys approved last year for a set of doors at the elementary to be purchased and installed, and we had some just kind of, I guess, the company wasn't able to get to that. So for this year, I'm looking for approval for the gymnasium floor, with the hopes that we'll do both of those items. But worst case scenario, we'll either do one of them or we'll do both of them, but then just pay half of the gym floor with this fiscal budget, and then next year pay the other half with it. So
How often do we do that?
that's every 10 years. Does that sound right?
The floor?
The full, resurface.
I don't know.
About every 10, yeah.
Is
Yeah.
it every 10?
Yeah, we do. I don't know.
They do though
Like resealing.
the resealing
Yeah.
like every 3, is it, or is it
Yeah.
Every year.
Every year.
Every summer we do the just the
All year,
superficial, and then every 10 years you sand
And-
it right down to bare wood.
Yeah, and
so
this one is the key is they sand it completely down and then repaint everything.
We did the elementary. Was it last summer or this summer? Yeah, it was last summer.
Last summer. Yep.
I think so.
Yep.
I move to approve whatever works within the budget, whether it's half this year or half next year or full this year.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve the resurfacing of the junior, senior high school gym floor and as well as the doors.
Those are already approved.
Oh, okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Motion passes. Then we'll move on to the review/approval of the canvas committee.
Okay, so the canvassing committee met on Friday, April 6th. I had sent you guys the unofficial numbers that came in. If you look through the canvassing committee, all of the numbers reflect what was sent to you guys through email with the unofficial numbers. I think it sounds so official to say the unofficial numbers, but so we had the numbers. We had Peter Wazorek with a total of 209, Ryan Munson with a total of 247, and then Christy Kobernick with a total of 238, and no write-ins for any of the municipalities.
I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second?
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve the canvas committee's findings. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Motion passes. And then we'll move on to the official oath of new school board members.
Okay, so we are going to table one, and then do a swearing in of Mrs. Kobernek. You all good?
Do it. Yeah. I get to do this, huh?
Yeah.
All right.
Set it up. Keep going. Go over there to the last page. There you go.
All right. I suppose you have to stand for
I was
this.
just gonna say, I'm like, what's the protocol here?
We don't remember.
That's right. All right. So I just read this, Josh?
Yep.
All right.
And you have a copy too, or you can take
Oh.
this one if you want.
Do I have to like repeat after him?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Do you have it, or do you need?
Yep.
Okay.
Is it this one?
Yep, that's the one.
I have the right one also.
Yep, you're good.
All right.
Do you want me just to read it?
We could do that.
Yeah.
I, Christy
There
Kobernick,
we
who
go.
has been duly elected to the Board of Education of the School District of Clear Lake, but have not yet entered upon the duties thereof, swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of Wisconsin, and will faithfully discharge the duties of said office to the best of my ability, so help me God.
Right. Thank you.
And
We do.
We're going to give you the official one to sign.
Fine day.
There we are.
Not that far back.
Yep.
No, this, no, I wasn't mine.
Thank you.
Oh, yours? No, that's emptied out.
Well, welcome aboard, Christine. Okay, then we'll move on to our superintendent notes.
Okay.
Doesn't
All
Ryan
right.
have to do it?
What's that?
Doesn't Ryan have to do it?
We're going to table that one.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so it's been a little crazy with spring sports with the northern Wisconsin weather. So we've had a lot of cancellations and rescheduling and cancellations. So I don't envy Mr. Rosine. But as of right now, we had last week we had the election on Tuesday, the 3rd. On Thursday the 5th, we had elementary parent-teacher conferences, which seemed well attended. And then on Friday the 6th, we had a lot going on in the district. We had the 3rd grade out at the circus in St. Paul, I believe. I got to attend my first circus, so it was surpassed all my expectations. It was a lot of fun, and the kids had a blast.
Did you come home with an inflatable, though? That's the question.
We did not, but I did get a clown picture. So.
I remember yours.
Then the 6th graders were at the Science Museum in Minneapolis. Then that Friday night over at the elementary, we had a lot going on as well. We had the book fair. Let me back up. Then we had the canvassing committee. Then we had the book fair over at the elementary, the carnival, and the art show over there, which was, again, this is year 2 of it. Last year was the first year in a long while, and it was extremely well attended. Thanks to a lot of staff headed up by Mrs. Meyer over there. Had a lot of neat prizes. I can't remember if it was a Wii or a PlayStation. But then we had 2 bikes that were donated, one from Nielsen's and then one from Mrs. Johnson's
True
Value.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, not Nielsen's. So it and then also had a $50 gift certificate from Brickfire Pizza. Then had a lot of books and a lot of candy and a lot of soda and a lot of little games that the high school kids and a lot of parents helped out to support. So elementary students really had a neat experience at the carnival. And then all of the elementary teachers, not all of them, but a lot of them were there helping out as well. So it was extremely well attended. I know my own kids enjoyed it. And then on the week of the 9th, this week, obviously school board meeting tonight. It's Tornado Awareness Week, which sounds funny with when you have a lot of white outside, but it is in Wisconsin. We had FCCLA crew head off to state, so wish them luck. Tomorrow, the 10th, we have elementary teacher conferences again. We have day-to-days over at the elementary, the 11th and 12th. On the 8th, back up, we had the softball team. We actually scheduled a in-dome kind of tournament. They had 2 games and ended up losing, but had 2 games over in Stillwater, Minnesota. So at least we're getting one of the teams to play some games. And then we have the high school state visual arts classic. So the VAC crew is headed off to state on the 13th. Then next week, the 16th, we have in-service on Monday the 16th, so no kids have school, but teachers will be coming in and we'll be doing some more curriculum work with them. And then most likely the 20th, which is our Service Learning Earth Day, will be rescheduled, and we're going to be identifying a date this week to push that back, since a lot of our projects are outside, and even with the snow off the ground, which it isn't yet, but it'd be a mess. So we're gonna probably push that out 2 weeks and hope for the best. And then that brings us to the school board meeting on the 23rd. So that's.
Did you mention the 16th? We have our.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, board retreat on the 16th at 5 o'clock in our boardroom. So that will be posted, but it's. We'll be in there.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Ernst. Our future agenda items. Anybody have anything that we would like to put on the agenda? Okay. Seeing none, I will enter.
Did you guys see, FFA is looking for a school board member to open it up and do the greeting on April 21st. It's a Saturday night. Does that work for anybody?
That would be the banquet?
Yep. Saturday 21st, 7 o'clock.
You are an FFA.
I'm going to be in Green Bay on the 21st, though.
I think I could
I
maybe
am
do
out of
it.
town, so I'm going to give them your name if that's okay. They'll send you a letter.
And you can put you down as a maybe. I'm going to be there, so
Okay.
I can do the welcome too.
Okay.
You just say welcome and move on, or how does it work?
It's fine. It's about 10-15 minute.
How FFA has changed your life.
You got your jacket still, right?
Laser beam. I never got a jacket. I wasn't FFA though.
Okay,
I can
blue.
bring you by.
More royal blue. There you go.
Probably wouldn't fit regardless.
All right. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll move to adjourn.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. We are adjourned.